Hello, everyone. It's good to see you again. I don't know why I'm saying that because I can't see you. But welcome to Bible Bites episode 2. How exciting. I still love the name. This week, I want to think a bit about place. Most of us will be spending nearly all of our time, if not all of our time, in our homes. Probably for some of you, for myself included, I've never spent so much time in my home, only being here and not going out. And so it's probably worth thinking, what is place from a biblical perspective, from a theological perspective? And the story I want to use to think about place is from Exodus chapter 3. It's Moses encountering God at the burning bush. Moses was tending the flocks of his father Jethro, and he sees a bush that is burning, but it's not consumed. So and this is the important part, he stops to go and investigate it. And he turns aside and he encounters God through this bush. God speaks out of the bush. And of all things that God says, he says, take off your shoes. And the reason he says that is because the ground you're standing on is holy. Something about God's presence in that place made the ground holy. That's an interesting thought. One of my favourite authors, N.T. Wright, in a book Surprised by Hope, writes this, that space, time and matter are all subject not to rejection, but to redemption. That is the story of Jesus, what he accomplishes in his life and his death and his resurrection, is not just about individuals, it's about the whole of the world, about all of creation. We have this story, I think, I hear a lot, of us escaping earth to get to this good place, heaven. And boy, do we want to escape this situation. For some of us, this is a real challenge. This is a really difficult place to be. But I think the story of the Bible is much more, just as in the Lord's Prayer, about it being on earth as it is in heaven, about heaven coming to earth. It's about those spaces intermingling. And I think we see that in this encounter between God and Moses at the burning bush, that there's something of God's space mixing with our space. And it creates what in the Celtic tradition is called a thin place. Tracy Belzer describes in her book Thin Places the Celtic notion of a thin place as this: one that inspires us to be honest before God and to listen to the deep murmurings of his spirit. Take a moment to think about where you've been before, where you feel like I could be honest to God in this place, or it just feels different. I could sense the deep murmurings of his spirit. You may not have had that experience before, but if you've ever visited a cathedral, or you've looked out, especially in Cornwall, on a fantastic view of the sea or the natural landscape, just something inside of you moves you in a way that in other places it wouldn't, and perhaps for other people it wouldn't. But for you, that place became thin, that you could sense heaven's space, God's space, in a way that perhaps you couldn't any other place. I want to think about, what does that look like now that we're in our homes all the time? Or perhaps we only get to go on one walk a day and that's our only space outside of the home in the natural world. Or perhaps if we're blessed with a garden, what does it look like for these places to be a thin place? I'm filming this episode from my green chair here and the orange chair next to me there. It's where Hannah and I sit every day now that we're in every day. And we just go through a devotion. So we've got our book, and it's got some Bible readings and some set prayers. And we've just found that's become a thin place for us. That's become a place where we become really present to where we are. We can slow down and stop. We can encounter God in a way that we wouldn't if we just let the day race on. And we can be present to each other. For us, that's become a really significant place. Can I encourage you to think about where in your day, where in the place which you have been confined to live in now, where is there a thin space, a thin place? It might be that you love studying and reading, and so it's somewhere comfortable, like a chair, with some books. It might be that you love being outdoors. It could be on that walk you get to do every day, or on some exercise. It might be you love being around people, so it's the dinner table. But the key thing to notice, the key thing to do, is to notice that there is a thin place and to just stop and, like Moses did, turn aside and investigate and in that space, see if you encounter God. Thanks for listening. Just gone over 5 minutes this week, but I'll be sticking to 5 minutes on every other episode. Thanks for watching. Let me know how you get on and if you discover anything new about the place in which you live. Thanks.